So now that we've created our plunger, let's step through what we need to do for our game mode. The game needs to be able to create a ball, the ball needs to hit the plunger, we launch it, and then it starts bouncing around, at which point eventually the ball's going to end up in this area over here, be destroyed, and be reset. Now, that means that we need a few things. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a position that we can get from the plunger that allows us to set where the ball is going to spawn. So we're going to establish a position in space that we can just have a simple widget that says where the ball will begin, and the game mode is going to look for that anytime it needs to create a ball, because us just beginning with the ball in play isn't the best move. So I'm going to open up BP Plunger, and within BP Plunger I'm now just going to add a variable. This variable is going to be called ball location, and I'm going to have it set to be a vector type. Now, if I hit compile and save, and I look at the ball, if I look at the plunger here, everything looks normal. However, if I go back to this and I enable this option for editable, followed by show 3D widget, I'm now able to hit compile, and if I look at this, I can now see that the plunger actually gives me a little widget that I can put anywhere in the world. Now this is very, very useful for me to use. However, I am going to change something. I'm going to set the default value to be around 400. Compile, save. Now, in this instance, this allows us to set the exact location that this ball will be created anytime we want to use this. Now, we need to go ahead and set up one other thing. This vector is storing its location in what's called relative space, which means it's storing it at a coordinate that is the distance from the plunger. However, we need to actually make that into a world position if we want to use it within the game mode, because the game mode needs to know where in the world to spawn it, not where relative to the plunger. That's rather simple to do. I'm now going to create a function. I'm going to go add, and I'm going to call this get ball spawn location. Now this get ball spawn location is going to return one thing. It's going to return the position in the world, so it's going to return a vector that the ball should spawn at. And I'm just going to call that ball spawn lock. Now the other thing that it needs to do is, if I go back to my event graph, these types of functions and these types of functions are different. This type here that doesn't require an exec pin is referred to as a pure function, and that's essentially what we're going to do. We're going to create ourselves a pure function because it doesn't really need to have an exec pin. Things just need to look it up. So to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the ball location, and then I'm going to run a transform on it. I'm going to run a transform location. Now, with the transform location, how it works is if I read in the transform of an actor, it will then put that into world space. So it gets a relative location, given an actor's transform, it puts it into world space. So for that, all I need to do is get the actor transform of the ball plunger, and then plug that into BP ball spawn. I'm now going to hit compile and save, and I'm going to go ahead and open up, actually before I continue, I'm going to delete this ball from play so we have no confusion. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to open up the game mode, and all I'm going to do is click on this button that says open full blueprint editor. Blueprint defaults back to this setup if you've never actually added any graph nodes, so don't be too confused. So open full blueprint editor, and within here I'm going to create a custom event that's going to be called spawn ball. Now spawn ball is going to get called on begin play, so I'm just going to call that there. So spawn ball is going to get all actors of class of type plunger. It's going to get, if we wanted to spawn multiple balls because of multiple plungers for some reason, we could actually use a for loop here as well, but I'm not going to. Now I'm just going to run the function that we created, which was called get ball spawn location. So at the moment the function looks like this. However, if I delete it, I open up my plunger again, and in this function I tick this checkbox that says pure, compile. I now look at the game mode. If I drag off of this again and type in get ball, you can now see that this is a pure function. So all I need to do is I'm going to drag off of this, and I'm going to call spawn actor from class. What we're going to spawn is a BP ball, And now I need to give the ball a transform. In this situation, I'm just going to split the transform struct pin, and I'm going to connect location to location. Rotation can stay 0 and scale can stay at 1. I don't mind. Now, purely for the sake of testing, I'm going to hit compile, save, and I'm going to play the game. And you'll see that we now have a ball in the game. Now that we know that the ball spawning works, let's go ahead and handle its destruction. When the ball gets destroyed, we want to spawn a new one. Now, in the long run, we're going to be checking how many balls they have left and whether they're allowed to do this or not. But for the time being, let's just do the very simple way. I'm going to drag off of the return value of the spawn actor, which is a reference to the ball that it just created. And again, I'm going to type in bind event destroyed. This is caused by an event dispatcher, which allows me to essentially get a message from the ball when it gets destroyed. So we're going to create a delegate. I'm going to drag off of event, and under add event, I can then add custom event. And you'll see that it gives me this, which is going to be on ball destroyed. It's just a good enough name for it. And all I'm going to do as a quick test is when the ball gets destroyed, I'm going to call spawn ball. Compile and save. Now the next thing that I need to do is find a way to destroy the ball. So I'm going to go back to my world and I'm going to create a new blueprint just very quickly. New blueprint class, actor. This is just going to be called ball reset zone. Now my ball reset zone is going to have one thing in it, which is going to be just an overlap component. So I'm going to go into here and I'm going to add a box collision. And this is going to be called ball overlap region. I'm actually going to make it the root as well. So now that that's in, I'm going to go to my event graph, and on actor begin overlap, I'm going to test if the thing that we're overlapping is a ball. And to do that, I'm going to do a ball cast, so cast to BP ball. So now when something overlaps this zone, it's going to say, hey, is the thing that's just encroached on me a ball? And if it is, let's just destroy it. I'm going to hit compile and save, and then I'm going to quickly add one of these to the world, which is going to sit right there. Now, if I want to, I can scale this and modify it as I see fit. In this case, I want to stretch it out. It should be fine. I'm going to lift it up a bit just in case as well. Save, play. And now I'm quickly going to test it. So we can see that that works perfectly. The ball got destroyed, and then a new one spawned instantly. So now we have an infinite game of pinball that has no ability to keep score, but we're going the right direction.